Hey everyone, welcome to the Lake Michigan Angler Podcast. I'm Rob, this is Michael, and today we are here with Will Summerfield, who is kind of a do-everything fisherman. We were just talking about river fishing. He kayak fishes, boat fishes a little bit.
Yeah, done a lot. I figured we'd start with the kayak stuff first because, I mean, that's how we met. And you've been carving a name out for yourself as well in our local kayak fishing community, specifically like salmon fishing out of the kayak on Lake Michigan and stuff like that. You're pretty competitive, participating in, Salmon-a-Rama, of course. You participated in we had our King Week, stuff that we've done, and on the Big Pond Brawl, because he decided to jump on the boat thing, which we'll get to that, because I was like, when we found the winners, like, what? That threw me for a loop. But welcome to the podcast, man. I'm glad to have you here. And why don't you just briefly introduce yourself?
All right, my name is Will Summerfield. Like they said, I usually kayak fish, but I use boat fish too. But I'm getting shore fishing a lot. I like the rivers. Yeah, but kayak is mostly the thing. I've been doing this probably around 5 years. Been through like 3 or 4 Hobies already, but I've had a ton of them. Yeah, I just can't keep away from them. I'm always on the big lake. I work Monday through Friday, so the weekends are pretty much what I do. I'm always out fishing.
So what made you get into the kayak side of it? Like, when did you realize like that was even a thing?
So my brother actually started before me. He actually got me into kayak fishing.
I met him first.
Yes,
so I befriended your brother first, and I haven't seen him since. By the way,
he's getting back kayaking. He's back at it. He was doing a lot of the boat fishing with my dad and all that.
Okay. Yeah. So your brother was the one, and so you saw him doing it. And was like, oh, it looks cool.
Yeah, I saw him. I saw him used to go out with you, and I'm like, oh, I seen that. I saw Rob, and then everybody uses like a little YouTube and like Hobie, and then Hobie Lake Michigan, and then it all goes. Now, I would do a lot of shore fish, and then there'd be so many guys everywhere. And then after kayak, I thought about like, oh, I'm by myself. I can do whatever I want. I'm away from people. That's pretty much what drove me to get in the kayak.
Yeah. And it's been
You probably started catching a lot more fish that way.
Oh, yeah, you catch way more. Like Coho season, when you go out, you could just throw two crankbaits back, and you just start pedaling. Boom, boom. You're like, whoa. When you're on shore, you're casting. Okay, you might get 1, 2, or 3, but yeah.
It's a different kind of a grind. You're at the mercy of those fish passing by, and the odds that they're passing by as your lures happens to come across them. Like, it's pretty high odds versus trolling covering water. You can use your sonar to figure out and see bait and work the area and do that. Let me ask you this: when you first got into it, did you do it specifically to get on Lake Michigan, or was it just I want to get it and just go fishing, period?
No, the first time it was actually out of Lake Michigan. I think I went out of Walhalla, on the Indiana side, right before, I think it's Illinois border.
Oh yeah,
Walhalla, that boat launch.
That's where we. Yeah. Was that what it's called? Is that
Walhalla?
Yes, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a little sleeper launch right there. Yes. But we had some fantastic fishing out of there. I mean, there was that one day, it was me, you, and someone else, and we had like 15 fish, five.
I think it was a 4-man limit.
4-man limit,
yes.
Yeah. It was pretty phenomenal. Nice little spot out there. What would you say has been the most challenging part of doing this specifically for like Lake Michigan?
Oh, Lake Michigan. So the biggest thing is you got to pick your days. When there's a south or west wind's low, you cannot get on the lake when it's north wind on the kayak. And so unless it's a very, very low day, but mostly you got to watch the weather and the right days. And pretty much saying like that, I'd go out very little bit in the beginning because I was like, I don't want to get on the kayak by myself, not knowing what I'm doing. Yeah. And then it takes trial and error. And some days you only go out like 100 feet off the break wall, and then you're like, okay, these waves are picking up. I got to go back in. Then you like every day you do a little bit further, and then you get to, I can go out further. I feel like, this wave, the kayak, just how the kayak reacts to the waves and how waves hit you. Some waves hit you sideways, and you go like this. There's so many factors.
No, you make an excellent point, which I don't think enough guys do this, which is, I've said this before, a couple of the veterans like Keith Gellar said this as well, and he agreed, which is when you're getting started, you may want to only, your inclination is to only go out when it's flat calm, right? but it doesn't really work to your benefit if you don't go out when it's a little bit more choppy. Now, obviously, there's a sense of like you need to know and take precautions, but you should go out there when there's a little bit more action going on so you can get a feel for your kayak. Because what you were talking about, because every kayak feels different.
Yes.
And that's a part of it that people don't understand is every boat, every maker, from the hull, how it's designed, it has a different kind of amount of sway. You have to learn those tipping points. So going out on those days where it's a little bit more chop and stuff like that, you build up that confidence, and you explained it perfectly. You go out a little bit further each time, you get a little more confident in what you got going on and all of that. Was it hard for you to do that style of fishing out of a kayak? Because prior to that, you were mostly shore?
I was mostly boat.
Okay.
Yeah. And then like saying that like kayak ruined boat fishing for me. Because when you're at kayak level, you're actually at the level of the fish.
Yeah.
And you actually can feel the fish. When you're a boat, the boat is like doing a lot. You're dragging the boat with the engines. Like kayak, you can stop pedaling. You're just straight fish.
Yeah.
You're
It's just a fight.
Yes.
You get that real fighting and all. Yeah. Because otherwise in the boat, the boat's dragging the fish.
Yes.
You're just winching them in. And
yeah, the biggest thing is when you're because the biggest thing when you're new to kayaking, you got to make sure every way. Like if you can look and be fighting a fish and a wave hits you this side, you gotta know what's going on at the whole time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Already breaking the mics.
Gosh.
Yeah, that is very true. There's, one thing about kayak fishing is from the moment you're on the water, or at the very least, the moment you leave the harbor and you're out in open water, I'm always on full alert, and that's why for me, I like those periods in like the early spring, like, April, and then again in October when I go inland to go crappie fish. It's a nice break from the being out in the big water,
Crazy atmosphere.
the atmosphere. But here's the thing about it. I don't know if this is true for you guys as well. I love the adrenaline rush of it. I love the idea of like, I'm out in this vast body of water. This is kind of weird. Something might happen. Something could happen. But there's like that rush. Maybe it's the same thing for like why people go skydiving or bungee jumping, and there's like that certain element of like thrill. I certainly get that. Is that?
Oh yeah, I get it
that?
entirely. I get that entirely. When you get a fish that starts ripping, and then you're sorry for that, but yeah, when you get a fish that starts ripping, then he starts pulling drag. You're like, whoa, this is crazy. Your feet start moving, but then you go out the days you don't catch anything. You're like, oh. Why? I'm about to just sell all my equipment. and then the days, it's just how fishing is. It's not catching, it's fishing.
Well, let me know when you feel like that. I'll buy a couple things off you.
He wants the Hobie again.
No.
Yeah, I think he needs a Hobie.
No. We're holding on to Old Town right now. Shout out to Old Town. Well, that's a good transition. Let's talk about this. How did you decide on the kayak that you wanted to get, your very first one, and the ones you've been in since? What led you to decide on that particular brand? And
like I was saying, going back to my brother, he actually had a pro angler. He had an older pro angler without the skag and everything. And then I looked into him, and I was like, oh, can I get an Outback? And I'm like, oh, this one's a little skinnier. And then I was like, I think the pro angler would be the best bet. And I was thinking, do I go to a 12 or a 14? Then for my size, I would think a 12 would be better. A little 14 is a little too big. I had a 14. It was good to have, but yeah, just the space. But on a Hobie, you have so much space. On like an Old Town, you have a lot of space too. But yeah, every kayak you got to pretty much figure out what you like, set it up. Like I probably put 3 different set of rod holders on my kayak, trying to figure out what I like, and then you break down what you like, how the kayak feels when you pedal. There's just a lot of things. It made me, maybe would go with the pro angler because I felt like to be the best for if I wanted to take it offshore, I'd be good, but also local, and it wasn't too heavy.
Yeah, no, and I mean, since then, even you said you've been doing it 5 years or whatever. Even in the last 5 years, just the investments and all of that, it's been such a really crazy to see where these kayak companies are going and stuff like that. And then even in our area, it's been. The vast majority of kayaks you see out in the water on Lake Michigan are only really 2 brands. It's going to be a Hobie or an Old Town of some sort, and it's not to say that some of these other ones aren't, feasible, but for whatever reason, it's just, I don't know whether it's both companies have marketed it that way, or just, I think part of it too is that the folks have been doing it for a while, have the ones they're using, and the newer people see it, and there's like a certain level of, well, if they're using it, it's probably good. So I should probably
you have two of the better brands of kayaks that don't need to be paddled by hand, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna be fishing Lake Michigan, you need to have an alternative way to propel yourself to really be like if you're gonna do it a lot,
yeah.
you're gonna be pedaling or you're gonna have a motor. Because paddling kind of sucks when you're fishing Lake Michigan.
Getting lines,
Yeah.
getting
I
lines
did it.
and all
I
that.
did it when I started. That's what I was stuck with. That's all there was when I started. But and it worked, and I caught a lot of fish. But I'd never go back to it.
No, and I started that way. I mean, I remember my first Lake Michigan kayak, believe it or not, was a Jackson Kraken, and it was like this big 14 plus long. It was very narrow. It was like designed for ocean water, right? So very lean and narrow. And I distinctly remember launching out of Evanston or just north of Evanston off a beach launch, and I'm out there with a rod in the water. It was early on. I'm like, I'm a shot in the dark here.
Yeah.
And here we are doing this, and you got that. You had the wave action, the wash from all the boats are running up and down the shoreline, right? I was like, this is not gonna last too long. Yeah, I sold that one pretty quick, and yeah. I think at this point, for anybody getting into this, you just skip all of it and just get straight into a pedal drive,
If it means you have to save up a little longer, another year, whatever, it's well worth it.
Yeah, it is, because you're gonna save yourself the energy, the time, and it'll literally take you a lot further because you're using your leg muscles. You got a lot more energy in your legs than
nothing's in your hand. You have the rods in your hand. It's not like you're paddling.
And the other thing is you're in control of the situation when you have a fish on. When you're fighting a fish, you have but when you have if you're paddling, you have to put down the paddle to fight the fish, right? So the fish is in control, and if you're in an area where there is boat traffic and stuff, there's not much you can do. You're just at the mercy of the fish. But at least if you're pedaling, or if you have a motor, you can steer yourself while you're fighting the fish. You can control the situation, stay away from shore fishermen, stay away from boats, whatever you need to do. So, don't even, if I'm fishing Lake Michigan, I'm not going to bother with paddles anymore.
Yeah, no. And not to discourage anybody who may have one or that's all they have access to, because you can totally use it in the harbors if you can do harbor fishing. Because then you can just pedal around and cast. You could do some trolling in there as well, but it does take a lot more effort to. You're doing multiple things. You're paddling, the rod goes off. Now you gotta take this, but then you lose your momentum. There's a lot kind of going in on all of that. But
I mean, I did it for years. It worked, but.
Yeah, like work smarter, not harder, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
To do all of that. So, getting into this, what would you say has been the most challenging part about kayak fishing?
I think the most challenging part is when you're out in deeper water, probably past 67 feet of water. A lot of times you don't have to go past that far, but a lot of to get your baits the depths.
Yeah.
Getting your baits to the depths is the biggest thing. I started running torpedoes and everything, trying to get down to the depths. It was hard because you had a lot of line out. But there's a lot of different ways. I mean, torpedoes work great for a lot of people, but about the line. And then I actually switched over to downriggers. And then I actually figured out a great system. Now, I'm not saying everybody should do it. If you had a good system, you're safe about it. Because anything can happen on downrigger. Like you lose fish off downriggers, they get caught in the line.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I lost my biggest fish to that.
Let's talk about it. I don't know if I told you this. I added a downrigger this season, mid-season, I think right before summer came. I was like, all right, let me largely because of you.
Yeah.
Because when you talk and you're, I got the rigger and I like it. And I'm like, all right. So I do it. And I like it. It's another useful tool, but my caveat with it is if I obviously have the motor in my kayak. If I was pedaling, I probably wouldn't want to go with it because there's a lot of motion going on, right? So perfect example, like you said, what I quickly realized is rod goes off, right? Now you've got the ball down just hanging. And if you don't do something with it, that I've had my fish go into the cage. Well, it's the braid,
yes.
100-pound braid or whatever, holding the weight down. I've had that and I've lost. I learned that pretty my second trip out with it. I was like, oh, this is not gonna work. I realized if I was pedaling, this is my scenario, right? I'd look like the circus clown. I'd be pedaling, reeling, holding a rod. And I'm like, it's like the old band man doing all those playing different instruments. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I don't know, you perhaps probably have the coordination to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, some people might have that coordination. Next thing you
think
know,
I'm spinning.
yeah, next thing you know, you're in the water because you just flipped over on some weird thing. But it was pretty useful. I mean, once I figured out, like you said, a lot of the kayak fishing, right, is figuring out where you like things set up. And once you get it set up, you get into a flow and you're just really efficient.
Yes.
Once I figured out where I wanted it, how I did it, dude, it was one of the coolest things. Get my first fish was off there. I don't know if it was a Coho or a Spring King this year, and it was cool as hell. Because I mean, you do it on the boat, but again, it's different in the kayak.
If you're fighting the current of the boat and everything, and then when you're fighting, the whole fish is you.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. Torpedoes are a great tool that I think the vast majority of kayak guys should have in their arsenal.
Yes.
That should carry most of what you're gonna do. I do think that, and what I've learned is, once you start getting into 80 feet of water, and I mean I'm talking about lures in the water depth, right? If you're trying to fish that in a kayak, that's for me is kind of like that. That's about it. Once I get past that, it's
The reality is we really don't need to fish that deep that often, but when you do, that's when things are like your lead core and your copper to get down that deep. Like a lead core is not going to do it unless you run a ton of it. You need a 300 copper to get down and fish that effectively. That's not that easy in a kayak, especially if you're pedaling. So torpedoes are the other option, and yeah, it starts to get tough to get them down that deep because you are putting a lot more line out. So yeah, it's just a tough depth to get to.
Yeah. I think in the kayak, once you are having to put lines down about 80 feet past that, it's probably not. I don't think it's worth it, and I'm just gonna try and find other fish or figure something else out because at that point they're just way down there. And but inside or less than 80 feet, I think is totally fishable. You can compete out there with anybody else in the boat or not. You can, as long as you get on the fish, you present it right.
And the reality is most of the time, if you can get 40 feet down, you're going to catch fish during the summer.
Yeah. And that's a great thing too. Is I know you know this, Will. You can, while a lot of boats have to go out deeper, a lot of times even in kayak you can still find fish inside of 60 feet or so. That early in the morning they'll move in. You can still bang some out, and I've even caught fish middle of the day.
Yep.
When the boats are out at 120 or something, I still found fish.
And those fish, a lot of times, the boats aren't going to be able to catch, even if they're trying to fish for them, because those shallower fish are just a little spookier.
Yeah.
But you can catch them in your kayak.
Yeah. And I think it's important to say because guys will blow by it. They think they have to go out to the depths, and as we all know, this past year was this year and last year, there was, in recent memory, were two years that we've seen quite a few people have really close calls and stuff like that. In fact, I had a situation this year out of Kenosha. There was the forecast was fine. It called for something to come in at around 10 a.m. whatever. I planned accordingly, so I start coming back in from like 50, 60 feet of water, and maybe about a quarter mile from the shoreline, and I'm just coming in just south of the harbor, so maybe like on line with like Southport, where that is, not far at all, right?
Yeah.
There's a name for these kinds of storms that come in that aren't detected, but it hit, and I'm in like 4 to 6s, right? And I only have to go like this far, you know? And, but this, I was confident the whole time. I was, this just comes from experience on the water. It could have turned, but you take precautions. I made a radio call to the Coast Guard, just making them aware, hey, I'm okay, but this is where I'm at in case something happens. It was cool because, there were charters were coming back in and all that stuff, and they were checking it was good. And rest in peace to Captain John Anderson from Memory Maker. He actually pulled up beside at one point. I was getting close, but it was really just kicked up, and I'm just doing this, and it was inching just slowly back in. He actually ended up coming up to my side and helping to eat some of the waves.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and he just kind of rolled him the end and
What
all
a
that
guy.
stuff. Yeah, really, really good guy, man. But it goes to show you though, like anything can happen, and we've seen in the last couple of years just more incidents, close calls. Thankfully, I don't think nothing's too bad has happened,
Yeah.
but there's been some close calls out there.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts and what are your suggestions for folks on taking the proper precautions, what they should or shouldn't do to lessen the chances of that happening?
What I would say is the best thing is you don't want to go head on with the wave. You kind of want to like ride the wave. You want to go between them and ride them. You don't want to go directly over. You're going to get splashed every time. You're going to keep taking water over. You kind of just want to ride them, like ride the wave out. Ride the wave out the whole way. Just make sure you stay pedaling the whole way, and then you don't want to stop. You don't want to stop and turn, because if you turn in a situation, or you let your eye off for a second, boom, you got a wave. You obviously the waves are coming. You just got to make sure you stay ahead and stay focused and just stay calm. You can't freak out. If you ever, like you said, you called the Coast Guard as a backup, just let them know that you're on your way, and if you need backup,
Yeah.
that's your best bet.
Yeah, definitely got to take those precautions, because again, anything can happen at any moment, and then it goes from there. What do you think about? Or let me ask you this: for this year, how was the fishing for you?
Fishing was really good in the springtime for me. I did a lot of coho fishing. I didn't do as good as on Lakers this year. I usually do on the south end, but yeah, coho fishing was really good.
When did your season start? When did you put in for the
pretty much
year?
first when the ice is out. I'm usually just going out there. Make sure you're wearing a dry suit and a buddy system. I've seen a lot of these guys go out on a flat day when it's really nice, when it's like 40 degrees, but the water's like 30-some degrees.
Yeah.
You got to be ready. You could just fall in, anything can happen. You can even get a crack in your kayak. You wouldn't even know when your kayak fills up with water. Anything can happen. You forgot to put your drain plug in one day.
A lot of guys will forget
Yeah.
that.
I've done it. I'm like, oh, I got to get back. I unloaded my truck. I'm like, oh, wait, is my drain plug in? I opened the little hatch. This was at Kenosha. That was the funny thing. I'm like, oh, no.
It's like a lot of water in.
Yeah, but overall, and then the summer run for the Skamania, I usually go up there all the time. It wasn't that really good this year.
Before you go any further, run me back through like your season progression. You start once the ice is gone and you're able to get onto the water. So that could be, depending on our winter, I mean, that could be February.
Yeah.
I think March is usually the safe bet. That's usually when we've start making those calls. Are you getting out? Are you getting out? I think March. And that's a great thing about it for small boats and kayakers.
Yes.
You can get out there pretty quickly as long as there's some openings to get out there. So walk me through, like, where are you fishing throughout the year as a season
Usually I
progresses?
start on the Indiana side, because those coho usually start quicker there.
Yeah.
I feel like, and then you start moving up to Chicago. Chicago gets really run a little later in, about maybe a few weeks after. They start pushing all the way up to, riding all the way up north to Waukegan, then all the way up to Port Washington and everything. But yeah, what I've seen for the years I've been fishing, they always start from Indiana and they shoot all the way up.
Yeah.
And then you get a lot of the smaller size on the Indiana side coming up, but when you're coming around March and May, you're getting a lot of bigger coho.
Yeah. Nothing like last year's coho. That was a monster.
Whoa, those were crazy.
But you definitely get those. What would you say is your favorite port place to fish?
I think
If you had to pick one.
is up by Port Washington. Port Washington water is up there. It's beautiful up there. There's so much area to fish. If you know the right spots, you get a lot of that gets deeper water quick.
Yeah.
And then up by Wisconsin, it holds colder water a lot more than the south end. Because the south end, we had our boat at Michigan City. We had warm water this entire last year. It was really rough. If you want to go out and catch Lakers, you can go out and catch Lakers. We were all mostly up to the silvers.
And we had Brian from Big Lake Little Boat, and he told us that they go out. How many miles did he say they go out in the summertime? It's like,
I think like 20 at times. I mean, they're way out.
they're way out there.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy to get onto the bite. So you were saying though you'll start Indiana, then you'll come up.
Now, I like to hit Chicago a lot. Chicago produces a lot of great fishing. A lot of
Chicago is underrated.
Oh, it's underrated. There's no guys that go out and troll it.
No.
There's I think there's not even many charter boats anymore.
I mean, they got charters for sure. I don't know the total.
There's actually a pretty good amount of charters.
Okay.
Yeah. And they focus a lot on the corporate, companies and stuff like that that'll book them and stuff like that. So there are a good amount out there, surprisingly. But what I would say about Chicago, and I was just out there 2 weeks ago and stuff on the kayak and stuff like that. But for as many fish that are in that area, there's not nearly enough like people fishing it. There really isn't. And I get it because like there's the stigma of Chicago.
Stay away.
Accessibility, but hands down, I would say trumps even that because most folks don't even know like where to go, how to get there, where they can and what they can and can't do. But for those that do know, man, I mean, it's Lakers City. You got perch right now. You can go out there. There's some good brown fishing down there too. We've talked about this that I think is very quiet as kept probably till now. But there you go. But no one's gonna fish for them because
people don't go out there. People everybody shoot to Wisconsin or go to Indiana.
Yeah. No, there's a good healthy brown population down there. You'll see steelhead down there. Guys will catch steelhead. When it comes to the kings in the fall, it's a lot of hours.
Stocking numbers are getting there. Hopefully, we figure out something.
It's never been like what it is in other areas.
Yeah,
I saw Abdel Bowman a couple years ago article that said on average it took like something like 70-something hours to catch a king. Yeah, fishing out of Chicago. Like
it's rough. I got a lot of guys just grind it out. They just chase to get a king. They don't care about catching. They just want to catch the first one out of Chicago. It's raw.
It's just to like prove a point, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's difficult because once boating season starts, it's a madhouse, and it's not even worth fishing, because you got all the pleasure boaters, the yachts, the commercial boats and tourist boats, and it becomes a mess. But outside of those boating seasons, really good opportunities.
Oh yeah,
over there.
Spring and fall, great fishing.
Yeah, it really is. So then you'll move up again. You'll move up to Waukegan in Wisconsin.
Yeah, Waukegan is where I started shooting up because I know because once we get up to Waukegan, Coho is getting up to Waukegan. That's usually when the kings are starting to show up around. I like to. You get a lot of coho fishing right out of the harbors. You do phenomenal. You just want to go out there on the right day. You can catch 5 to 15 fish. Yeah, of course the limit's only 5, but
yeah, but it's totally done. And then you will. Let's see, you'll circle up, and then I know you mentioned Skamania, so then you'll drop back down?
Yeah, the thing is, I kind of live right in the middle. I'm an hour to Michigan City, an hour to like Kenosha. So I usually like to work between, if I hear, I watch the winds, but when the winds are bad, on the one side, I'm usually lucky to go fish Wisconsin side or vice versa.
Yeah. How was the Skamania for you?
Skamania was very, very slow. I went out trolling for 3 or 4 times. I think I got 1 or 2 fish out of the 3 or 4 times, and I was like, I'll fish.
It seemed like it was like that last year I went, it wasn't all that great. I don't know, the last 2 years.
Yeah, they're there, and then it rained, gone.
Yeah.
Rain gone.
They shot right up, just bypass
just day to day. You were out there the right day, you were catching them. If you weren't out there, you weren't catching them.
Yeah. Didn't you say that they were stocking some Skamania in Waukegan? I think.
Waukegan, yeah. They got some... Wisconsin stocking them again.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, there.
Yeah. So
was that when was that?
Oh, I mean, it's been long enough for them to start returning.
That's
so I think it started 4 years ago.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So I know last year, I think 2022, Salmonorama, there was some caught by the perch fishermen on shore. There were some fish I remember hearing about this summer up in Racine, but we pretty much had too warm of water to really get into them. But they were around. If the conditions are right, you can go catch them. I'm not going to say it's going to be like when it's good down in Indiana, it's going to be way better than up here.
Sure,
but they'll run all the way up to the dam on the root.
I was going to say, is that where they're primarily stocking them out of the root or Racine?
I don't remember all the different ports that they were stocking, but yeah, for sure, the root.
That'd be really nice to see.
Yeah,
that'd be nice, man.
Oh yeah.
Gives you a nice little something to do as well.
Like, is this a spring king or what?
Yeah. You don't want to, like when, during the summer we make all those trips up to Port Washington. If you don't feel like making that run, it's another hour for you basically. Or you just go fish for Skamania out of Racine,
Yeah. So summertime, and then when if you are outside of the Skamania stuff, summertime fishing, where do you like to fish and focus on?
I'm usually fishing up in Wisconsin waters around this time. I know there's a lot more. I know that the fishing gets a lot harder. It's like fishing's always good in the beginning, in spring. Usually the south end, then it goes up, and then it gets tougher on the south end when everything starts warming up, and then the Wisconsin gets booming. Or if you want to shoot up to the Michigan side, there's great fishing out that way too. But yeah, I'll usually shoot up to like North Point. I'll go to North Point, work the hills, or I'll go even further and I'll go out there. But yeah, that's pretty much looking for the cohos, kings. It's pretty much.
Have you fished the Michigan side out of your kayak?
I fished the Michigan side during the fall, going up to Ludington. Whoa, that's a crazy fishery up there.
I was curious. I've been thinking about going to that side and experiencing it. What I find interesting is there's not many kayak. It's not like a big.
No.
Like what's so unique about our side is that we have a pretty strong and growing kayak fishing community for Lake Michigan specifically that I haven't seen anywhere else on the entire lake. I haven't seen like a kayak fishing group on the Michigan side or on the UP or up north in Green Bay. I mean, we have our own thing here, and I find it so interesting why that is. Well, maybe I do know. Maybe it's because we do have Southern Basin. We have a lot more access. We don't have to necessarily go to these extreme depths and stuff.
Yeah, when I was up in Ludington for like the 3 or 4 days up, I didn't see one kayak. But the amount of boats up there, holy moly! The amount of boats that roll out of that harbor, I've probably seen 500 boats roll out.
Really?
500.
That's why there's no kayaks.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there was that many boats. Like you can't even compare it to like how many when you see all the boats come out of Racine when the fall kings are run. You'll see like 50 boats out there.
And everybody's complaining about 50.
Yes.
Oh,
when you get up to Ludington,
crazy.
it was totally different. Like I couldn't even fish the whole morning. I'm like, nope, another boat, another boat, another boat, another boat. I'm like, oh my god.
What were you trying to do? Like what we do? We do a lot
Circle the mouths of the rivers, and then the entrance of Ludington.
And it's not possible, huh?
No, it's very hard, but it's possible. But yeah, it's very, very hard.
Wow. Wow. I find it interesting, the amount of people over there that fish versus on our side. Like for that amount of boat traffic, it's just more baked into their. Is that kind of what it is?
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely more popular over there.
Yeah. Well, because they got a lot of tournaments. It's just I just find it interesting how our side.
It's a bigger part of the culture of Michigan.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
That was what I was wondering there. Well, if only they had more fish on their side. So, fall comes. What are we doing for fall?
Fall comes. I'm working all these harbors local, but I know when the fall comes around, there's fish in every single harbor.
Yeah.
You just gotta. There's not one harbor that's better than the other one. There's some days you're gonna go, oh, Kenosha's gonna be awesome one day, and then Racine was dead. You just got to go out there and get them. Trying to get them. If you don't go out there, you're thinking, oh, but that place was awesome. Okay, it was awesome today, not awesome tomorrow. That's how the thing is with these harbors, these fish, these kings. They have their bite windows. They want to bite, then they don't want to bite, and then you're like, oh, come on. I just had them biting yesterday. I got 5 yesterday, and then 0 today. You're like,
especially with the warm water. We see that a lot with that warm water
Yes.
we've had the last couple of years. Or it's just not in their comfort zone, and they're just so moody because of it.
Yeah. Very small windows.
Yeah,
a good day on one in those conditions where it's really warm water. You're looking at a small 30 to 40 minute window, and you might get 2 fish.
Yeah.
Figure your first one, if you get in quick enough, you get line set again. You might be able to pop a second, maybe a third, but it's two kings on a sun up or sun down, and that's about as good as and you can grind it out and sit there throughout the day and drop some skein or whatever, but like you're putting a lot of time in for those fish. What did you think about the size and the numbers of our kings this year overall?
ooh, they were a lot of smaller kings this year. I caught a lot of like 14 pounders in the fall. I'm like, oh, come on. Like we did that. We had that one tournament. I saw the whole leaderboard. We were like, leaderboards were like 11, 12, 13. I'm like, oh my God, these fish are not that big this year. Yeah, but I caught a few bigger ones, but it was very, most of the biggest range were like 14 to 16.
Yeah. What was your biggest for the year?
My biggest of the year this year, I think it was on like 27, the one I got out of Ludington.
Okay.
And then, that's for a fall king. And my biggest summer king was on 23 today. 23 pounds was during Salmonorama this year.
Yeah. Let's talk about Salmonorama. How did you fare this year for Salmonorama?
I finished in second place for Salmonorama this year. I watched my winning fish spin down on my downrigger camera. Downrigger. And he got in both ones, and I caught both. I caught one cave with a downrigger dropped, and then the other one. Then I got the line back. He was gone. He was a big one. But yeah, we had a great fishing time up there. We had ice cold water up there. We didn't have to go off. We didn't have to go off the maybe past 70 feet of water. It was awesome.
And up there, I mean, you're talking about 70 feet. That's
pretty close.
That's very close.
Like a mile?
Yes, not
Yep.
too far.
No, not at all. that is what makes that place kind of unique. But it can also get pretty busy up there too,
Yes.
because everyone knows cold water. They don't have to go
Yeah.
far. A lot of boats, small boats especially, take advantage of it too. So you've gotten really active a lot in the tournament scene of things, and obviously Salmonorama, the kayak division, has been around for a while, and as long as I've known you, you've participated in that.
Yeah.
I've done stuff before for our kayak group and community, and then this year we kind of made it more formal, and we actually made it before it was just like a friendly competition thing and everything. Now we actually made it and baked it into our tournament stuff that we're doing. And you did did you win that one?
For salmon.
No, for our King Week.
Yes, I won the King
Yeah.
Week one. I think I won the big fish too.
Yeah, you cleaned up pretty good.
Yeah, it was tough seeing all the smaller fish, but I was scared. We had a lot of guys doing this, and just one fish could have been difference.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like that. I think the biggest fish I saw during that was like a 27 pounder. Just a random guy on the shore. I'm like, you got that one? That's big. And then everybody was like, oh yeah, I got this. I'm like, okay, what's it actually on the scale?
Yeah, that's always different from when it's on the scale. That was really cool. What drives you to do the tournament stuff?
Oh, like we said, when you hook a fish on the kayak, it's totally different. You get that adrenaline rush. It makes you want to it's just like something you got to experience to actually feel it.
Yeah, and then I know next year we're going to be expanding, and so did we talk about this publicly yet? About
Not much.
Not
There will
much.
be kayak division.
yeah,
In the Brawl series.
Sweet.
So yeah, we're gonna have 4 big pond brawl events, and it's gonna run in conjunction with those, and so we're interested to see how that's going to be received by the kayak fishing community, to see, the level of involvement. What I love about this now for the kayak side of things is it's now going to give more opportunities, throughout the year, and to get the competitive side of things going. And I think also it's really going to be more of a testament to the more all around kayak fishing angler, because you got to fish through the seasons, the 4 periods, right? Mm-hmm. Spring and fall, I think anybody's fair game.
Yeah.
And I think some of the 2 other ones are going to be where it's going to be more of the challenge of how well you can navigate.
Yeah, when you see during the summer, you're doing totally different than you're doing in the spring and the fall. You're running flasher flies. You actually get your baits down.
Yeah.
You're not catching those. You could catch them at the first 15 feet of water column, but most of those fish are sitting a little lower.
Yeah.
It gets a little harder. You got to go offshore a little bit further, and then all the crazy things getting.
Yeah, it's gonna separate the skill sets and stuff like that. But it should be pretty cool.
Yes.
We're excited about that. So
It'll be a very good time.
that'll give you something to jump into. What would be some general advice you would want to give to somebody that's looking to get into this kind of fishing, kayak fishing?
So,
what would you say? A couple of areas they need to focus on, and it can be across anything, whether it's on the water or off the water. If they want to get into kayak fishing Lake Michigan,
I think the best thing is don't say that you cannot do it. You just get out there and try. If it's not for you, it's not for you. You can't put something down if you didn't try it. I mean, like kayak fishing, it brought me getting away from the shore guys, and then how when you everything that happens out there. Like we say, you get adrenaline rush out there, and then pretty much. But yeah, if you want to get into kayak fishing, don't try to say, oh, can't do it or something. If someone tells you don't do it, or just like you said, if you don't have the right kayak, save up a little bit of money, get out there, have the right thing. The best thing I used to do all day was watch YouTube videos. Mike, he has a lot of awesome videos, like breaking down things, breaking down weather patterns. A lot of people like spook away. They like, people see me. I'm like, you go on the lake with that? No way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to definitely pattern it out. It comes with time.
Yeah,
it definitely comes with
a lot of time.
Takes a lot of time to understand that what the winds last night is, how it's going to impact the lake the next day. You're thinking about going fishing. Once you
big mindset.
Yeah, once you work through that, you can. There's days where you get out and take advantage of it, and really kill it. Really kill it. When we did our Big Pond Brawl this year, we're here doing the weigh-in live and everything, and I remember opening the door, and I don't think I knew that you were. No, I didn't know you were involved in it. As a matter of fact, the funny thing is for the Big Pond Brawl that we did this year was that the winning boat, which you were a member of, was filled of guys that we know started kayak fishing. You guys got on to the bigger staff's boat who have been kayak fishing for some time now, and so they got a boat this year. Here you guys coming in, open up the cooler, and I'm just dumbfounded at the box that you guys had in there. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it was what a morning that day was.
Yeah, what a weigh-in. What was your total bag?
It was like 70 pounds.
Yeah, it was a little over 70 pounds, 71, 73, something like that.
Yeah.
It was a really, really good catch.
Yeah, you guys. So we proceed to go on throughout the weigh-in, and lo and behold, you guys held on to win our very first Big Pond Brawl. What was the what was the feeling? What were you guys, walk me through kind of your thoughts on the day when you guys were out there fishing?
It was just, everything went right. It was crazy. We hooked the first fish. It was a ripper. He ripped us, and then we didn't pop off. We got into the net. We were like, whoa, we got a nice king in a boat. So we're like, we'll just pick off. We fished the Kenosha Hills. We shot straight. I think we were almost the smallest boat in the pack too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we were in the smallest boat. We shot as far as we can. I think the best thing is get away the boat traffic. That's what we wanted to do. We got out there, and I think we started in like 80 feet of water or something. Drop lines, boom, fish. Next fish, boom. Oh, it's a nice fish. Oh, yeah, we got two nice fish. Let's shoot deeper. Maybe try to get a laker. Shot deeper, trying to get a laker. We didn't end up getting a laker. We got another king. We're like, whoa, okay. So we shot back around. Then we hooked up on then we hooked up on a big brown. We're like, okay, this is great. And then so we probably had like another hour left, and it was full sun or whatever, full sun. We were like, all right, this is gonna be tough getting this last good fish. And then probably 30 minutes before we were going to call line just to get back in, we had I think it was a 300 copper went off, and that fish was on the board the whole way. We got to the board, and the line was slack. We're like, oh no. We reeled it up. We were like, oh, this thing's gone. And then at like maybe 50 feet from the boat, we got him back. And he was there.
He swam up.
And then when that fish got in the boat, we all went berserk. And we were like, we got a bag. And then we were like, oh, we gotta get out of here. All of our adrenaline was rushing. We were like, and we were the first ones here.
Yeah, you were the first one in.
Yep.
When I saw that box, I'm like, this is the one to beat. I knew automatically. He had I think he had three kings, the big brown. What was the brown? It was a big brown too.
Yeah, it was a brown. Brown was like 16 pounds.
Yeah, it was a really nice fish.
It was a really nice fish. And then whatever, I don't remember what the fifth fish was.
Kings?
With the four kings?
I think it was 4 kings and then the 1 brown.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, you guys did well. That was really cool to see. See that happen, man. So congrats
it was a great
to all you guys. Yeah, doing all that.
And you beat
Team
some
Walter.
very good long time tournament fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen a lot of looks at me like this, like, oh, this guy.
Who's this guy?
Who's this? Yeah, but hey, we all have
you know
our
what?
days.
But I think that goes to show you, what our goal was for the Big Pond Brawl was to make it accessible. It really is. Anybody can get it. Anybody can walk away with it. You get on five fish.
Yeah.
5 fish. Put your best 5 together, and and anything can happen, you
Yep.
know. So it was really exciting to see for our first one and stuff. So be excited to see how next year goes. You guys gonna fish it
Oh,
again?
yeah. We'll be back out again.
Yeah, you got to defend some titles there and
Yeah,
stuff
we
like
gotta-
that. And we're gonna have a series route too. So like that.
Yeah,
like
anybody, you could put a boat, you could run a boat, a little 19-footer, you could run out there, put a couple downriggers on, you can get lucky. Anybody can go. Like the other end on Lake Erie side, the Fall Brawl guy. Fall Brawl, they run in that, and then there was this one guy like a 19-footer. They run like a big amount of money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
see that.
You got me thinking about Lake Erie walleye again.
Yeah, I got to get back out there.
Yeah,
springtime.
we went there a couple years ago.
Yes, that was a good
man,
time.
that fishery is
That
insane.
lake is crazy though. It's like a soup bowl.
Yeah. Well, I finally understand now what they were saying about like how that lake is because when we were out there our first day, yeah, we drove overnight. We timed it perfectly, so that's like a 5-hour drive
Yeah.
or so. So we left at like midnight, whatever. So we arrived there like 5:30 in the morning. Sun's just starting to come up. We're at the launch. We didn't even check in. We can't check in, but we go to launch, and immediately we're already in like 2-footers. It was already rocking.
The wind picks up like, whoa.
It was picking up out of the northeast. But we're full sunning it, man. We're like, listen, we gotta fish. Like we just made this drive. Like we're fishing. The cool thing is like we were like quarter mile offshore. Like and the fish finder's lit with walleye.
Oh, yeah.
With walleye. It was the most insane thing. And here we are, fish on. Everyone's screaming, fish on.
fish on.
Fish on.
I think
and you're
that-
just
I think the
yoinking
day-
in walleye into the boat. It was stupid.
Yeah, that is an amazing fish. Everybody's got to make their way up there.
It got to. It does spoil you. It's hard to go fish for walleye anywhere else
Yeah.
around here anyway.
Oh yeah, maybe you'll get a couple of walleye. It's nothing like Geneva walleye is good fishing, but nothing like Erie.
Yeah. Well, then plus you got the 6 fish limit. That's
yeah.
a lot more meat you get to bring back and all of that. So, yeah, man. Well, Will, want to say thank you for coming by and just talking about the kayak fishing side of things. Was there anything that you might want to add to the convo or share with anybody about kayak fishing specifically? Not really.
Not too much.
Just get out there and try it.
Yeah, just get out there and try it, guys. Don't be scared in the kayak. Watch Mike's videos. Mike breaks down a lot of things on the videos. If you want to get in a kayak, he talks about lures. He talks about life vests. There's a lot of things. Just make sure you watch videos before you actually jump on the kayak.
Yeah. Not doesn't have to be-
Self-train your mind and then actually do it.
and prepare yourself.
Yes.
Rob, any final thoughts?
No, I'm just looking forward to getting back out in the kayak in the
Oh,
spring. I'll probably get out 1 or 2 more times in the next week and before it freezes up, but I'm kind of looking forward more to spring fishing now.
I'm so mad because
To be honest with you, we should have been fishing this morning, but you want to do a podcast. We would be slaying brown trout right now.
Oh yeah, Rob says that the Browns go crazy when the snow comes on.
Oh yeah, the Steelies too.
Well,
Should have done a on the water podcast in our kayak.
Scream.
damn, we should. That's not a bad idea.
Here, I get a mic. We just gotta get some wireless mics. I can do it.
I have it all. I have it all. But you know what happens, right? The minute we get on the water, somebody drops their mic in the water, and I'm crying
Oops.
I'm crying tears while I'm fishing because there goes
I
a
don't
couple
care about
$100.
fishing anymore. Mike's gone.
Yeah, I was gonna go yesterday out of Chicago, but I realized I left like half of my stuff in Kenosha. And I have my PFD. I was like, well, that's automatically done.
Yep, you're done.
And it was a beautiful day yesterday too. You were out there, right?
It was. I went perch fishing for a little bit before work. It wasn't too good, but yeah, perch day by day. But I had to get out there before work.
Those Lakers. No,
Oh,
I'm gonna tell
they're
you,
everywhere.
The
out there.
Lakers.
We saw like 5 caught yesterday, and it was.
The Lakers have been super thick, right on the point of Navy Pier, right at the edge, like right at the walk all the way to the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
and it's sitting right there. It's crazy. All right, Will, thank you so much for joining us, talking about kayak fishing Lake Michigan. If people want to reach out to you, I know you're on Instagram, whatever. Maybe they want to pick your
Instagram,
brain
Facebook.
about
Yep.
kayak fishing. You want to let them know where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, William Summerfield. You also find me on Instagram. I'll answer any questions you guys have, unless you're asking for spots. I won't. But yeah, overall, nice guy. I'll give you a little bit of peace of my mind. That's about it.
I'll link to his socials down below if you guys want to reach out to him, ask him
Thanks,
questions
Mike.
about kayak fishing.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thank you for joining us. So you guys in next week's episode, don't forget in the meantime to like, subscribe, comment down below anything you want. We'll go through the comments. If you need any gear, make sure to visit us at lakemichiganangler.com, and we'll see you next time.